Hey friends, how's it going? Wolf here. And in today's video I want to show you guys how I built this modern dashboard here that lets you have any image and transform it to various styles within seconds. And the way I built this is using different AIs. And in fact, today I want to rebuild this entire dashboard from scratch with you guys together. So we will be building this entire dashboard here from zero, A to Z. Every single step is going to be shown. And I will show you how you can do the same here without writing a single line of code yourself. You do not need any coding experience for this. And well, yeah, we will be using modern AI tools and also different APIs to achieve this. And basically what this does is we have an input image, we apply the styles, we can select the quality, the size, then just hit the generate button. It'll connect with the OpenAI API and generate all these images here in various styles. You can download them, you can kind of categorize them, have the history and all of that. So the way this works is this is a full stack application, meaning we have a very modern Next.js front end, which is like an upgraded React version, and we have a very powerful and strong Python-based FastAPI backend, which uses, well, FastAPI and UVCon to achieve this. Backend is Python-based, frontend is Next.js. So pretty modern tech stack. And yeah, everything here, the frontend and the backend, everything was done using AI. I have not written a single line of code myself. And the beauty of the React or Next.js based frontend is that we can change it live. So as you can see here in the top, it should update in just a second. It should update the title here, and we can like keep all the states here while it adds this please subscribe button. Everything else stays the same. We do not need to reload the page. That's the beauty of React based applications. Everything can be changed live. So whatever we change in the code, actually for the front and back end, because it updates live, it'll change without us having to like reload the entire page, which is beautiful. And we've built our own API to basically talk to our front end and then to talk to OpenAI, right? So this is pretty much how this works. And yeah, guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, then please feel free to subscribe. Most people are just watching the videos without subscribing. We've just crossed 200 subscribers. I've also launched the free school community, so I'm going to show you guys that in a second, so you can actually have all these resources here for free. But in this video, I actually will walk every single step with you guys together, so you can actually understand and learn how this works and which are, well, in my opinion, some of the best AI tools to achieve this, all right? So I would say, guys, without further ado, let's get this started. So to get this started, guys, I've just reloaded the page, and now I'm just gonna drag and drop my logo in here, and we can select the medium quality, square is fine, and then we can just select a couple styles like, I don't know, anime, Pixar, Minecraft, and maybe Simpsons, something like that, hit generate, and then it'll queue those tasks here live, right? And yeah, this should just take a little bit, like 20-30 seconds. We do have the estimated cost here as well. So I will show you the live demo here, and then we will get started and actually start to build this. And I will show you every single AI tool we use for the front end, for the back end, how to connect everything, and how you can pretty much achieve this and actually customize this. And then you could also extend this and, you know, add marketing, start to monetize that, have the proper database structure, auth, and all of that good stuff. Maybe use TikTok for organic marketing. And we could probably build a pretty cool SaaS product out of this and start monetizing it. If you guys are interested in actually doing this together, how to set up everything, also kind of the marketing part, because this is the vibe coding part, how you can like vibe code this without actually coding yourself. You have AI code everything for you. Now, the next step will actually be kind of the upgraded version of that, and then the vibe marketing part, kind of, you know. So let's see how these go through here. And then let's look at the result and let's dive right in after this. Okay, so this is taking a little bit of time. Sometimes you also get hit with like a moderation issue or something if the image is kind of, you know, flagged by the OpenAI server. But let's see what this actually does here in this case. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to go over this. It'll probably be a kind of longer video, obviously, because we do so much. We will like rebuild everything here from scratch. But I'll add all the chapters and everything, so you can just kind of, you know, skip the timestamps if you're familiar with one or the other thing. And yeah, let's see what's going on here. Seems like something is kind of stuck in the queue potentially, but I think it should be fine in just a little bit. So let's see what we come up with. Also, we will probably encounter some issues during the session, so we will also do live debugging, kind of like the live vibe debugging, which is also a very important part of vibe coding. because everybody wants to like vibe code, but nobody wants to like vibe debug kind of, you know. So now we had an issue here. I'm just gonna quickly, it was a bad gateway, so I'm just gonna reload and do like a few here, and then let me just do that, generate them again, and have a quick session here again. So that can happen sometimes. Now in my case, it was kind of our backend timing out. Yeah, because I've been kind of using the dashboard for a pretty long time. It's not fully error prone yet, obviously, but I want to show you guys that it's not perfect yet. I mean, we'll be building this in like an hour or two, right? So you have a full stack application after that, and actually some bugs you will probably find out after like doing that, you know. So here, as you can see, this worked now pretty quickly. We do have this now. And yeah, that's pretty cool. You can just go ahead, download this now, you know, and based on this input image, we selected those styles and we have this here, right? So yeah, this is kind of the live demo. And now let's hop into the actual browsers. And also let me show you guys our free school community and where you can access all these resources for free. So here we go into our Wolf Automation free school community. I've just started this today, already have some people pending, which is super cool. I'm happy about that. Gonna accept all you guys after every video, obviously. And yeah, I've just started this, so I'll be adding way more resources and workflows and everything, especially from our end-to-end workflows. For instance, we have this Hydra tutorial here, which came out at the time of the recording here, and then I'll attach the JSON file, so you can just import the JSON file for this end-to-end workflow, for example, and you will have everything here at one place, and then also have these cool shorts, and you can comment your shorts and all of that, right? Which is super cool. So feel free to just ask questions, comment, and let's build a super cool community, you know, of AI people and vibe coders, and just, you know, a super cool community. I'd be super happy about that. And yeah, so I'll link that in the description. Feel free to join, and I'll see you on the inside here, hopefully. And yeah, this is the free school community, so I'll see you guys there, and now we can continue with the tutorial. So actually, to continue the tutorial, we'll dive right into our little Google Sheets here, right? And I've prepared this Google Sheets here, which I will also share in the school community. So, you know, just check it out. Everything will be there, also the full code. But again, I encourage you guys to actually build this live together, because it'll be pretty worth it. And we do have the V0 prompt here, which we will put into our V0 AI, which is going to be this one. It's an AI tool built by Versal for building React-based front ends, and it's super strong, super cool. I've been using it a lot. Very nice. We will do that in just a second. And then also we do have our Cursor backend prompt here. So we will be using Cursor, which is an amazing IDE, and it has all this pretty much inbuilt, the AI tools and the agents, and we'll be using this to actually, you know, build everything here and have the AI do everything and connect everything for the backend and for the connection. Once we have the front end, we'll just download that, import it, and then get started. Now, we also have some additional information here about the curl structure for the OpenAI post. Well, you will need an OpenAI API key, which you can generate here. So you go to platform.openai.com, create a new secret key, give it a name, and create it. We will do that in just a little bit. And then we have some additional information here. I've prepared a styles JSON here, which we will be using to actually like add new styles and then give it a description for the API to use. Everything you see here, by the way, I have generated with GPT. I just kind of put it in the document so it wouldn't take too long, but you can like everything, like the full dashboard and everything here is done by AI, which is kind of the, you know, workflow or process of the video on purpose. So we have that. Now we also have another description here, which our AI agent prepared, and I think that's about it. So we will be using everything we have here, all the prompting, and just put it in the AI and watch the magic happen pretty much, right? So I think we can actually start with the V0 prompt and get this little beauty here started, and then you guys can see how the front end is going to look like. So it's pretty simple. We can just go ahead and copy this little prompt here, V0 here, v0.dev. I link everything in the description and also explain it in more detail in on the school page. It's a free tool. It has paid tiers, obviously, but you can start for free. You can just sign up and then get started. So I'm just going to paste this here and send it. And as you guys can see, it starts thinking. and it'll start creating our front end. We can look at the live preview and also at the code. So it's going to start generating code here. It's going to do a pretty good job. I'm sure about that because I've used it a lot, and it'll, you know, it'll do a pretty good job. I'm sure about that. So once all of this is done, we will actually download the repository kind of, and then just import it into Cursor. And we can do a few things actually while this is pretty much running, right? So let me just go ahead here, and while all of this is pretty much working, let's see, we can check a few things, right? So as you guys can see, it's generating all this code here. It keeps generating all the code, and let me go. Yep, it starts generating new pages here, which is pretty cool. Now we are in Cursor here, which is also free. You can also have paid tiers for like higher usage and all of that, but it's also free. Now I've prepared a few commands here. We can walk through them again live here. So you want to check a few things. I know this is kind of small. I can't really zoom in, unfortunately, here. So I'll just tell it. So you want to have Node installed, which is going to be node -- version. You want to have pnpm or npm installed, which is like the Node version manager or package manager, I should say. Then obviously you want to have Python installed, which, you know, is Python, and we'll be using that a lot. And then also you want to have pip installed with this, which is the Python package manager. And these are my versions. Yours can be, you know, those are kind of the latest ones, maybe a couple versions back, but you just want to kind of check for those, right? And all of this should be very simple, honestly. Oh no, as you guys can see, we do have a pretty cool dashboard here. It's looking differently to the one we've had previously. So that's also pretty cool because of kind of the AI seeding. You know, we do have different results every time, but I kind of like this. So we can work with this. We do have a results tab here. We do have the kind of starting tab here. We do have our qualities here and the sizes. And yeah, now we can go ahead and download this, and you can also look at the full code here. So it has a couple pages, it has all of this, and now we can go ahead, download this, and then import it into Cursor. And then I'll quickly explain to you guys again what you need for Cursor to fully work. It's very simple, only takes a couple minutes, and then we can start. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead here. Now you do have a couple different options here. You can directly deploy it to production to Vercel, because this is made by Vercel, right? Very popular in the like indie hacking scene, indie building scene. And Vercel just in general, very, very popular. We kind of want to download the code though. You could directly edit with npx, but I'm going to show you guys how to just download the zip. It's a little bit easier maybe for a beginner. Otherwise, you can also just copy and paste this command in your terminal, and then you have everything automatically cloned. We will just download the zip here, and then yeah, go ahead and do that. So it's going to be downloaded here, and now we can just pretty much unzip it and put it into Cursor. So we will be doing that now. So I've just unzipped my folder here, and now we can open this AI image transformer. I've just unzipped it, and now we can literally just open it. Now I think it did open the wrong one, so just give me 1 second. Let me just open it. The AI image transformer, here we go. And there we go. So we should have everything here. Let me see, terminal. And yeah, this should be our project. So now we can do a few things. Actually, we kind of want to split this to a front end and a back end part. So I'm just going to say new folder here, front end, and then new folder, back end. And we can kind of move everything except the front and back end into the front end. So now we have everything here. The full Next.js application in the front end. Now we can split the terminal here. Oh, now it's, why is it 3 versions now? We just want to split it. Oh, this is just, okay, my bad. Yeah, this is just that. Okay. So now here we can go into the front end, cd front end. Here we can go into the back end, cd back end. Now, the way this works is pretty much, this is kind of VS Code cloned pretty much, like it's a VS Code fork. So if you've used VS Code before, you should be familiar with this. It's like the same UI. We just have this agent flow here, and we have different kind of models. So you can use the OpenAI models, the Gemini models, or the Claude models. Now Gemini 2.5 Pro has been very strong lately. Obviously also the O3 and O4 mini ones. I kind of like to code on 3.7 Sonnet in thinking mode though. So you can, 3.7 Sonnet is a very strong model by Claude, and you can also enable the thinking mode, so it kind of has a reasoning, right? And I like to code in that, at least for you know, kind of getting started on the first steps. So yeah, we will be doing that. Now we can hop back here, and well, actually it's going to be here, and back into our Google Docs, and now we can just copy everything we have here and then see all the magic happen, right? So I'm going to prepare that now. For you guys to get started on this, let me just tell you, you can use the free cursor version, you can use the free V0 version. Pretty much everything here is free. You do need the OpenAI API key, but that's pretty much about it. Although you can use the paid versions just for, you know, kind of, you know, more limits, higher priority in the queue times and all of that. But it's fully doable on the free tiers. So basically you can create the dashboard for virtually nothing, right? So I'll be using the 3.7 Sonnet thinking model here, and we can just get started in a tiny bit. Now you do want to have Python installed, Node, then you can use pnpm or npm, which is the default manager, and pip also the default manager. So pretty much you need to install Node and Python, and then you have the two package managers. And I'm going to be using pnpm because it's kind of, you know, kind of has more features. I just kind of like it. And that's like really super simple. You can like just Google, you know, download Python, download Node, and it should be very straightforward. Or you can just ask GPT. I have everything done already, so I'm not going to do that obviously, but really it should be very easy unless you haven't done it already, right? So yeah, we will go ahead now and copy this prompt here, and then let's see how our vibe coding session goes. Now, there's a good chance that, you know, it messes something up. So maybe something will not work or something will kind of fail or whatever, but that's just kind of how it goes. So I'm just going to paste this full prompt here, and then it's going to start thinking. It's going to start looking at our full structure, at the back end, at the front end, all of that. So actually, maybe I should give it also some information. We can add here, let me also add this here. So we can still add before it does this. We have a front end and back end folder. Really just this should be enough for it to understand. And I'm going to put this here. So this is going to be the final prompt we kind of have. And now you just want to hit send, and now it's going to start thinking. It's going to start, you know, reading and analyzing everything we have. It's going to start listing the current directory. So it has access to all of this. It can create files, edit files, view files, all of this. It can grab the entire code base, which is why also the Gemini and the Claude models were so strong, because previously OpenAI kind of had issues with the input token size. Now they also have 1 million context models, but that's why Claude and Gemini were so strong, because they have very good input token size. Well, especially Gemini with the 1 million, you know. Now it starts to create our requirements.txt. Very nice. It's going to start an env example file, which is going to be our, you know, local environment file to store API keys. And it's going to start setting everything up automatically with kind of like industry standards. So we will be using a venv, so you can kind of clone this repository on any computer, it'll work. We will be using environmental files, of course, like the env file and the env example file. And as you guys can see, this is kind of the change it suggests, right? So this is still like in editing mode, kind of. And then we can accept this here, or we can just accept everything here at once it's fully done thinking. So we will be doing that. We will wait for that. And we can do a few things in just a little bit. Our front end is pretty much done already, unless we want to do some changes. So we can just install the node packages here in just a little bit, but I will wait for this to finish thinking first. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So it also adds a git ignore, so you can just push that to your Git repository, use it on like any machine, push it to the server at a later stage. We do have our full main Py code here, which is amazing, and has everything here. Now it has the style prompts in like string format here. We will tell it that we actually have a JSON file for that. So it's like more outsourced. It'll be easier to actually work with that. And that's kind of the process as well. So I want to show you guys the full process of kind of like, you know, vibe coding, and then telling it to do different steps and different changes and all of that. So it's still thinking, you know, it's going to create new endpoints and all of that. So while it is doing that, we can go back here and we can actually go to the style JSON here, and we can copy this and just copy this, go back here, and we will tell it that it should be using the styles.json with all the styles we have. So we will be adding this in just a little bit. and then it would change the code here to actually use that, right, for our own backend. So this here, the main.py, it's going to create our own backend basically, which you can call, and the front end is the React-based one, which or Next.js, which was created with v0, right? So this may seem a little technical and all of that, but really it's going to create all the code for you. You don't have to write any code. You don't really need to understand Python, honestly. I mean, it helps if you does, obviously, especially during debugging when there are errors, but you don't really need to, right? So yeah, it's going to create all of this, and then it should be done here just a little bit, and then we can actually tell it to change a few things as per our liking, kind of, right? So it's pretty cool. This agentic workflow is so powerful that it creates all the files simultaneously. It can grab the entire code base, view everything. It creates the markdown file to kind of explain how it works. It creates the README markdown as well now for the repository. So it is amazing. It's really amazing. I was still thinking I'm either gonna zip everything, all of this, and put it in the school community for you guys to download, or I might just do a GitHub repository for you guys to just fork and clone. That might be even easier, especially because of our local files. So now it's done. It explains every single step, and it kind of explains everything it does, right? So now we will tell it. Now we will actually create a new file here in the back end. Actually, guys, we want the AI to work so AI can create the file. So we will tell it, I would like to use a styles.json file for dynamic styles. And then we can just say something like, let's start with this. And that should pretty much be it. So it should understand on its own that it needs to update the code again, and that it should create the file and so forth. So I'm just going to send this, and let's see what Claude is going to do with that. And now it's kind of starts thinking and planning the next move. So now, as you can see, it is going to create the styles.json. So I didn't want to create it myself, so I just told it, please create the file. And now it does that. As you guys can see, here it is. So that's pretty much what we could have done, but AI just did for us. And now it's automatically updating the main.py file, our main Python file, to start using the style prompt. So it's probably going to change this section here. It's going to start loading the styles dynamically. And so whenever you want to add new styles or modify existing styles, you can just add new ones here, or kind of change the prompt here, because this is kind of the prompt that we send to the API to actually have a good result on the different styles like anime, Lego, Family Guy, and so forth, right? So yeah, let's go here. Let's see what it does. It's still updating the file. The file is probably getting kind of long at this point. Not super, I mean, yeah, 300 is not too long, but yeah. Now it starts doing all of that, and let's see what it did. So it's kind of going through the code, changing everything, and yeah, seems to be doing a pretty good job. As you guys can see, it starts to remove the hard-coded string, kind of. It starts to add to the dynamic loading mechanic, and that's pretty cool. It also automatically updates the README file to kind of explain, hey, we are actually using a styles.json, so you can kind of go ahead and do that, which is super cool. And I'm very happy about that. It's very, very strong. It also starts to change the integration markdown file. I think after this, we can start to actually set up the front and back end structure kind of by installing the packages. So we will be doing that in just a tiny bit, but I'll wait for this to finish first and then accept everything, and then we can go from there. And if you have never kind of done that before, you could also just ask AI how to do that. So I'll be doing that just to show you guys, even though, I've done it before. So it's finished. It should be finished now. We can accept this now, and now all of this was changed. It's going to use the styles.json now with our dynamic styles. I can't really zoom in here either, unfortunately. And yeah, I'll show you guys how to get the front end and back end kind of prepared now, and then we can pretty much run the first test already. So the thing you want to do now is pretty much just PnP install the packages and kind of set up the venv and then install the pips as well. But we can just ask AI how to set this up. So I'm just going to ask, okay, let's set up the front end now. npm install and the back end with venv and pip install. And it should kind of know what this does and give us the prompts. It probably wants to do the prompting itself, so it can even control your terminal. You can kind of accept that, give it access to that. I'll just do it here manually because that's, yeah, kind of easier, I guess. But it kind of tells me what to do now. So it wants to go into the front end and then install the thingies. So I'm just going to say pnp install manually. So it's going to do that now and just install everything. If you just want to use npm install, that's totally fine. Sometimes though with v0, there are kind of some issues. So I will need to do the legacy install. So I just kind of prefer to use PNP. So, well, both works. If this sounds kind of technical, you know, you can use either one and just ask AI, but I'm just using PNP and PNPM because it just works out of the box. So yeah, we will just skip this and then let's see if it actually goes to the back end, because I don't want it to control the terminal. I just do it myself. But if you guys don't wanna type that, you can just do it yourselves. I mean, if you don't want to do it yourselves, you can just have AI do it and accept the terminal here, and then it'll do that. And also it can directly read the console for error logs. But I'll do it here. But it tells you everything you need to do. You can really, you know, just do it. It's very simple. So here we'll do the same. We'll do python -m venv to set up a new virtual environment. So as you guys can see here, it's going to create the virtual environment. And then we can go into the virtual environment and actually install everything we have. So then you can just say venv scripts activate like that. Then as you guys can see here by this little indicator, we are in the virtual environment now. So everything, like every package we install now here, is only in the virtual environment, not in our global Python directory. And this is a very good mechanic and like common practice, because we have different, you know, different packages, different package versions, and not everything is going to work with everything. So this is specifically for this project. So we want to install it in this virtual environment with these specific versions, but this may, you know, not work for a completely different project that is dependent on other dependencies kind of. So it's just a very common practice to do it like that. And I always do it like that. Also works very nicely with like pushing it to Git and then having different machines to kind of fork it and all of that. So yeah, I can just recommend to do that. If you install everything globally on your machine, you know, it may just get ugly at some point, and we kind of want to avoid that. So yeah, now it's going to install all the dependencies here from our requirements file, and that's the beauty of it. You know, you can just push this to GitHub, for example, and then wherever you want to install this, you just create the virtual environment, and it knows exactly which versions it needs, like the exact version number, and it'll install exactly the same ones. So on any computer, you'll have the same setup if it's like your MacBook or if it's like your, you know, server or your personal computer. It's just super nice. So now we have both this done, and now, well, actually it made a setup script. Do we have the setup script? Oh yeah, it actually made the setup script, so it would do all of this on its own. Actually, I kind of want to show the process here, but it would create the virtual environment and everything on its own. So that's also pretty cool. So if you like don't want to do anything, you can just say python setup.py and it'll do everything for you. So that's even better, I guess. Now, yeah, we can kind of get started here. So you could ask like, hey, okay, so what do we need to do next? Well, we do need to still kind of have this here set up. So to do that, we do need to create the file ourselves. Now we do have global cursor rules here as well, which is also kind of its own topic, and the MCP servers as well. Maybe I'll do videos on that in the future. If it sounds kind of weird, you know, everything's fine, but it just gives you even more control to like fully customize your cursor experience and tell it exactly what it should do, what it shouldn't do, what it is allowed to do, what it's not, and so forth. So for example, in the default rules, it's not allowed to access the actual local env file, so it cannot see the API keys. Otherwise, it would kind of, you know, communicate with the servers and send the API keys as strings. So you want to do that. You just want to copy this from your env example file and put it in the actual env file, which is really just .env, and then save it. So whenever you change something and you have this white dot here, you need to save it, right? So do Control S or Command S, depending on the operating system, and save it. And now, as you guys can see on this little indicator here, it's on the cursor ignore file, so the agent cannot access this, so it won't leak your API keys on accident, for example. So all we need to do here is just put in our own API key from OpenAI. And yeah, let me just go ahead and do that. So you want to go to this is from a different, my bad, hold on, where's our usage here, for example? You want to go to platform.openai.com/API keys, or just click here. And then you want to create a new secret key and call this something like Image AI or whatever, okay? Create secret key, copy this. And then you want to go back to cursor and just put this here, and you'll be good to go. You know, you want to save it, you'll be good to go. And that's pretty much it for the environmental file, okay? So now, guys, I'm just going to replace this actually from a different dev account, so it's actually going to work with the billing and everything. But yeah, you can just put your own key here. Now, this one is not going to work at the time of you seeing this. I'm sorry, guys, but I have deleted the key, like revoked the key after the video when you are seeing this right now. So yeah, now we can just kind of start with pnpn run dev, and yeah, we get this started. So now what you guys want to do, you just want to go here and you want to go to your local host, and the front end is on localhost 3000 if I'm not mistaken. So let's see if this is actually going to load. So we can just kind of see it is compiling. Now let's see if it throws some heavy errors or not. But as you guys can see, it is not, which is beautiful. So this now is running on localhost, or actually on your local network as well. You could access it on the local network, but we will just test it on localhost on this port. And yeah, that's pretty much what we need to do here. Now we can kind of test it. You know, we can click all these different styles here like that. We can also make it full size. Now we can select the quality here. We can select the size. We have the cost estimation, which I think is kind of off. So we still need to change that because it is a little bit pricier in this specific config. And the results tab is not active yet. And we can also select the file here. So now, this will not work yet, I think, because I don't think the backend and frontend are fully connected yet, but we can just ask cursor to confirm that. And then we can actually do our first tests, right? And also we should fix the little cost here. So I'll go here, and now I will actually copy this, which is the description of the main pie. And I'll go back to cursor, and now I'll tell it all packages are installed. Now, please check this code structure to confirm our main pie is working properly. And also update the pricing based on above information, because this is the actual information of the pricing. So it'll just kind of do that. So we will just tell it to do that, and then it should fix the pricing and also confirm that the main pie is working. And after that, we will do a final question to ask if the front end and back end is fully working yet, if the front end is calling our back end and our back end is calling OpenAI's back end, and then we should be good. So it'll update the main pie for the new pricing to ensure it actually, you know, follows those rules. And now it's also updating the function to capture the original image URL. Interesting. So let's see what that does once it's done. And oh yeah, also now this, you know, if this changes kind of, now I don't think it's updating the front end, but if we change the front end, it would update in real time. So I can also show you guys that, because it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's updating our main py file, which is pretty cool. And yeah, then we should be good to go and test this baby in just a second. Also updating the readme, which is beautiful, perfect. And then let's see. Then we can also start testing it with a cool image. And now it's just we just kind of have the agent work for us. So perfect. Non-square sizes, okay, perfect. So yeah, now it just kind of updated the pricing, does that. So we can test the API has a valid API key. Now we can just ask it if everything is fully functional yet. So we will just say, is front end and back end functional yet? So can I run a real test and the results will update in the front end and be downloaded locally by the back end. Now I'll just ask something like this, so you can really just talk to it like any LLM, because well, it is, and it's just, you know, fully integrated into this IDE here, cursor, and has access to the whole code base and also very good contextual understanding of what we told it to previously do. So now it's saying the backend is functional, the frontend is not yet connected. Now it's asking, would you like me to implement these frontend changes to complement these integrations? Yes, please. Update the front end. So it's calling our backend and we can test the application with the real workflow. So let's do that. So now it should update the front end. Now we can open this here, although I think it's not really changing anything. It's just kind of changing what the buttons do, because when we press it, they should like call our backend. But if we actually changed something like directly in the front end, it would update here in real time. And that's the beauty of our Next.js application, that, you know, it updates in real time. We don't need to do like a full reload of the page. And that's just very, very nice. Also, our backend is not even started yet, so it's not even live because we never started the Python application. So you know it can't work yet. We still have to do that. We can actually just do that, and we can just say python main.py, and this will start the full application based on ubicon. We could also use the ubicon command manually, which I normally do, but we don't need to do that because here our agent has actually added that. And this means that it's actually calling the ubicon command on its own on the local host port 8000 and reload true. So whenever we update the backend, it will automatically restart our backend, and whenever we update the front end, it also changes the the front end. Sorry guys, the front end, because it's, you know, our Next.js application. So yeah, let's see what it does here. Now, as you guys can see, it does change the numbers here, and this should be fetched from the backend actually. So as you guys can see, you know, we kind of have those settings here. Now, if we say portrait, it's going to be more expensive. And if we click multiple ones, it's going to like multiply that, and it's going to be our final cost. And that's actually kind of expensive, but also it should have very good quality, you know, especially in high. We will be using medium though. But yeah, OpenAI is doing a fantastic job there, so I can't really complain about that. Now, something is blocked. Let me see what that was. It wants me to create an env local file. Well, we can just use the env file. It's pretty much the same. And it should process that correctly. Yeah, so let's do that. We don't need the start script. Let's just tell it now. I have the env file set up with my real API key. Is the app fully functional yet? So probably we are going to encounter some issues during the live test, but that is what vibe coding is all about. It's all good and fun, but we actually need to, well, mostly do some vibe debugging as well, and that's kind of the actual skill to vibe debug, right? To be honest. So yeah, now that should be working. Our backend is live, our front end is live. Whenever this is not live, you can just do a Control C, then confirm this. Now it's kind of dead, and then you can say pnpm run dev, and it'll start. Same for our backend. We can kill it with Control C, and then we can just say python main.py or the ubicon command. It's the same, and then it's starting this, and both use the auto reload. So we can just kind of go here, reload this once now to actually compile the front end, and now it's in a live state. So now let me drag and drop my image here. And now we can say medium size, and let's say anime Lego style, and generate images. Now I believe this is just a demo progress, but let's see what it does. It should be, well, at least it's stopping now. So let's see where it's actually showing my results. And yeah, let's see what's happening now. Let's see if our vibe coding worked, or if we do have some issues to debug. Probably it'll take a little bit. Now also we could tell it to add some more logging. It got the styles, and now it's saying it's used by another process. Well, so that's actually my bad. It cannot access the file, so, well, that's my bad. Apparently it's open somewhere in some application. So I'm just going to use a different image. We will be using, I don't know, we will be using this one, for example, and we'll do the same, generate images. This is a mid-journey image. So let's try that. That should That should not be blocked by anything. And then let's see what's happening there. So it does our post generate request. So we do receive that, which is pretty good. Now we could add some more logging to actually know how the OpenAI calls go, because we don't really have any information on that right now. So we'll just kind of have to rely on what happens now. And yeah, what it's going to log there. And now it generated those images. Now it's the same issue. So let me just see what that is. Now it shouldn't be open. Now, if you guys are unsure what this is, you can just kind of copy this, and then we can work from there and actually ask AI what the problem is. So I'll just say, during testing, I encountered this issue. Why could this be? Now it posted this as like an attachment, so you know, it's not here, it's actually like an attachment, but it has full access to that. Why could this be? How can we prevent that to make the app fully work? And now let's see what Claude is saying, and how we can fix that. And let's see, backend is trying to delete temporary image while they're still being used. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it wasn't even about the wolf being open in a different application. I was kind of surprised that it's that, but you know, this is a fully new code, so I kind of don't know how this code works, because we just vibe coded it. And that's also one problem. If you don't really know what the code does, it makes it way more difficult to debug, obviously. So it's good, you know, preferably you'd want to like use AI to help you with coding, but then still look at the code and kind of see what it does, you know, if it works. Because sometimes it would have problems while doing that, and also it would have problems, for example, to get the right curls, to make the right API calls, especially if it's super new. There are also different ways to do that though. For example, you can just use add web like that. It'll queue the web, or you can also just you can paste a link and it would check that link. So if you have kind of like new APIs you want to use, for example, I'd kind of look into the docs and then just paste the docs, the docs URLs into Cursor, and then it would analyze that for you. Okay, so now it's reloaded that. This should still be fine. So we typically don't even have to do anything different here. Now I kind of want to, I mean, yeah, we can use this. We can just generate images now. I don't think we need to reload because our backend automatically reloads. So let's see if we actually, are we making the calls here? I don't see the call here though. So yeah, sometimes it's good to do a full reload. We should kind of be in the reloaded state though. So let's see what it does here. And we could also tell it to kind of show the live generation as like items underneath here or in the results tab kind of. So yeah, it should do one of the two, right? So now the problem is error processing image URL. So let's see what it does. Let's also go back into our docs here and make sure it's actually following the structure we had here, right? Maybe we need to remind it of that, because what it needs to do is it needs to use this structure here, the path to our image, as a binary, right? So we'll just tell it, you know, to do it like that again. Please make sure to use this structure for the OpenAI calls. Now we will tell it that this was the issue. During the last run, we got this issue. And this is again as like an attachment. And now we will also tell it in the same call, you don't want to mix too much, but I'll just do it now, to also update the front end to kind of show you guys that the agent should be capable of processing this in like a logical order, step by step. So for the front end, let's add like item UI for every queued task with the reload animation circle, or just circle, while it's generating, and it will be updated to the live result once finished, so we can visually see how many running tasks we have, kind of like that. So now we can again go here. Now we can send this, and now we can also inspect the page and kind of see how it updates the page live while it also changes our code, right? So now, guys, this is really just kind of the vibe debugging section. Now this will always be part of the process, so that's why I'm showing everything. Now, if you watch the video eventually, you know, you could also just use the final repository, which is fully functional, which we are building right now live. But I really kind of encourage you guys to actually do it live. You will learn so much more, and it'll also be so much easier to adapt, because if you want to build something else, you kind of need to learn how to adapt to that, right? If you, by the way, if you have cool ideas on any like cool dashboards or apps or workflows, whether it's like full stack solutions like this, or whether it's end-to-end workflows, you know, then just let me know and we can build them together. It should be pretty good for some future videos. Now, as you guys can see, we changed the front end, so it updated the front end, and then of course we kind of lose the state because it's adding new elements. But yeah, also as you guys can see here, we do have a linter error here, so it's just like a tiny little issue, but it detects the linter error, and now it'll change and update that to actually get rid of it. So let's see. Well, hopefully it does. It should be able to do that though. And let's see what it did here. So we did update our backend here. So it's important to you to upload our image as a binary file, right? And now hopefully it doesn't mess up the pricing again. That is kind of one issue if you don't tell it to explicitly do it like that. Sometimes if you kind of forget to prompt that, again, it would change the pricing, but I think this looks good. So it just added this as a constant here, which is fine. And yeah, now it reloaded the backend automatically. This was also reloaded automatically. We shouldn't really need to like start the server. So again, we can just kind of drag and drop the image here. And now we can select these 3 styles, do the medium quality, and yeah, just fire it up. And now as you guys can see, it did, you know, do our latest change here. It did add the UI items here with the nice loading animation as we told it to do, which is super cool. So now let's see what it actually does. So the OpenAI call typically takes like maybe 20-30 seconds. I'm kind of expecting an issue here again, because I think it doesn't really do the OpenAI API call correctly. I think it does though. It's giving us the base64 strings. So yeah, it should be able, it should actually, let me see. So we don't see the final results, but the call was successful. So yeah, let's just talk to it. So the call seemed to be successful, but we don't update the UI with the live results yet. I think the result is a base64 string. You can also tell it to be an URL, but we can just interpret the base64 as image, convert it and display and download it locally plus display it in the UI, right? So the loading animation items will render the final images once we get the API result, kind of something like that. So really you can just kind of talk to it like a person, you know, pretty much almost, and then it should be able to understand that, because that's what it's trained for, right? And then update it as we like. So let's see what it does. So this should be successful, right? Because this must be the base64 string, so it is actually our image. Now the last thing we need to do to actually handle the base64 response and display that in the front end. So yeah, that should be all we need to do. And then probably we should also tell it to kind of save the full history even on a hard reload, so that we can always look at our results from any previous generation. Even if we like fully close everything, it would still load that, because we kind of need to store that locally, right? That's what we could do in the next step, but first let's get this kind of going, and then we can do additional features, right? And that's kind of how you can keep changing and updating the entire dashboard. That's kind of how, you could tell it, hey, I want to use a database for user information. I want to have a login. I want to kind of have a pricing page, maybe even at some point I would like to connect this to Stripe and have, a credit system, for example, and all of that. So yeah, you can kind of do all of that. So let's see, now it's adding the response format, which I'm not sure if it actually knows how to add that correctly, but let's see, hopefully it does. And it also needs to update that and transform it to an image. So let's see what it changed. You can always kind of see the UI here and see what it changed. So it should convert this back to an image here, like decode it back to an image. Let's see what it does. Now it added this, even though that's already what's happening. Now I could just go ahead and actually confirm that this is the correct format. But we will trust cursor for now, and if it messed up this, we know exactly what the problem is. So yeah, let's reload the backend here. Let's run this kind of again. Is it changing this? Oh, we still have the style selected, my bad. Now, yeah, it doesn't know. So now we can just go back and, well, we didn't want to change anything manually, so we tell it remove the response format from the API call, since we already get B64 and convert that images ourselves. Because OpenAI doesn't know it. So we can just kind of, paste the attachment here. So now pretty much all I expect it to do now is only remove this single line, because the rest is kind of what we handled before, right? So yeah, let's see what it does. As you guys can see, it removed the line here now. And I hope it doesn't change anything else. Yep, it only changes that. So now we can reload the server again and we can generate it again and see what it does. Now, as you guys can see here, we do have some logging now. It's sending these 3 calls now, and hopefully it's going to update our images here. Otherwise, there will be an issue with the base64 conversion, I'm pretty sure. The easier way could also be to just use the URL and then display that and download that, but well, base64 should also be super easy to deal with. So really, it's either way should work very nicely. So it's saving that now. Now we do have an issue still, so it's not JSON serializable, but it did try to save that. So let's see, we went ahead here. So let's tell that. During our last run, it seemed to download the images, but we got this issue still, and nothing was displayed in the front end. What's the reason and how to fix this? So we attached the console log again, and now we'll just ask it what the problem is. Now the problem is that, let's see. Oh, it's really something entirely else with the date time. We kind of attached that it can't be serialized to JSON. That's quite funny, because it's not really anything to do with the image. It's kind of how we save that. And it should be very easy to fix. So yeah, it's really just adding the JSON encoder here. And let's see. It also knows, because it kind of has the contextual awareness, that we also need to change it at a different location. So we did change it here. We also changed it above. And now let's test this again. Now, if this doesn't really work out, I just tell it to use the URL, because it'll be much easier. But yeah, actually, let's also do a reload here. So you guys can see that everything is still fully functional. And let's just do these 3 styles, generate the images, and let's see what it comes up with. So now we're just kind of vibe debugging. This is also quite interesting, because you kind of get to know, how the AI works, but also how the environment works. So you actually, well, if you study all of this, you will kind of get to know the programming language more and how to fix certain issues, right? So yeah. The more you do this, pretty much the easier it becomes in the future to actually work with that, And yeah. Now let's see what it comes up with. It's still doing the request. Now we forgot to set the quality also, but it should work with auto quality. So yeah, let's see how it does with that. And then we still need to tell it, I think it didn't download the images yet, right? But we still need to tell it to enable our results page in the front end. It's trying to download the images now. I'm not sure if it's actually displaying them, but it's trying to download them now. So 2 seem to went through. The last one did not go through. I'm not sure why, but I think they should be here already. So as you guys can see, we do have them here yet, which is pretty cool. The only problem is that, yeah, there was one issue with the last one. So let's check what that is. So we kind of just copy everything again. We go here. Now this is pretty funny. And we just tell it, during our last run, 2 seemed to go through, but 1 had an issue. Logs attached, we attach it. And then we also tell it, also enable our history button in the front end to load all the previous generations we've done from our output folder. And then also make sure that the input image is stored in a different location than the output images, so our history can load the full output images, but not the input image. I mean, we could also display the input image, I guess, that's associated with it, but for now I kind of only want to see the output images, so yeah, I guess we'll do it like that. Now really it's, you know, it's so individual and you can be really creative and just kind of do what you think is good. So it'll try to fix the last JSON error here. At this point, it's probably easier to just use the URL, and that's how I used it in the original. But yeah, now it'll just do it with the base64 string, which should also be no problem, to be honest. So it did change one thing now. And I wonder if it also changes it in the example file, because we do need to add an input directory here. So let's see if it does that. Otherwise, we need to do that. Yeah, it's updating our main.py file to actually save the input in the input. And now it's also, let's see, it's updating the response. Okay, that makes sense. Now it's updating the front end. Now, as you guys can see, it's updating the front end kind of in real time. Well, until this happens because of the linter error. But as you guys could see, it did update it in real time. If there's an error, obviously, you know, because it's JavaScript, it'll just break. But this should be solved in just a little bit. And then we still need to ask it about the environment variables, but that should pretty much be it. Now it just kind of reloaded. Now we do have 3 tabs. We have the history, the results, and the full screen. It can kind of just do everything in once, I think, but yeah, let's see what it does. And now we failed to load this. I think this has to do with the back end probably. So let's see, because it's still updating. Okay, so yep, we will just have it update everything, and then we will see what happens. So now it's not loading the history. We can see the issue here. What you can also do, by the way, you can just do a screenshot. This is also cool. And then you can put it here. And then you can tell it, the history is not loading our images yet. What is the issue? And then also we need to ask it if it changed the, please update the, and I think we can also use we can also directly reference files here like that with the add. Please update the env example to add the input string path so I can update it in the real.env. So yeah, this is kind of still the vibe debugging. We are very close to it already, but these are just kind of the final touches. So it'll update our example file here, as you guys can see. So we can just copy this, put it in the real file here like that, because again, it doesn't have access to the real file here. It only has access to the, well, to everything else pretty much. Now it's fixing the history endpoint. It was just the wrong endpoint pretty much. And yeah, let's see what's happening here. It's still updating this. It should also automatically reload everything else. So it's adding debugging statements to understand the front end issue better. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and test that again, which is pretty nice. We can go to medium. Well, it can check that if it wants to. Now there will be an issue though, probably because it needs to do that slowly. So yep, let's see. Now this is how it controls the, oh, we still need to do that, okay. Now this is how it controls the terminal and can actually view or create or switch between folders, all of that. So now it's checking what's inside, it's creating new folders here. And it's empty. So it is just creating an empty JSON file now. It's doing everything on its own. And that was kind of the problem because it was fully empty and it needed to expect at least something. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, let's wait for this to finish. And let the server restart. Now let's update the front end again. The history tab looks exactly what's coming back from the API. Okay, perfect. So let's see, update that. Yeah, we did that, so that should work. It should be this now on our environmental file. So we can go back here. We can reload this once, although we don't really need to. And now we can look at the history and it says no generation history found. Because we will have everything in a JSON file actually. And I think this is also much better to have more information about that. So now we can drag this again here and we can just use these three styles, set it to medium, square, and generate the images. And then let's see what it's doing, and let's see if it can actually decode the base64 correctly this time. Otherwise, we could just go back to the URL again, but yeah, base64 should really be no problem. It's a pretty common format for responses for images, so yeah, that's that. Let's see what it does. So yep, let's see what it does. And then also let's see if the history is working. It seems to have an issue with the last one. No, actually it's working perfect. So we can open this here. This is amazing. This is super nice. And this is also super nice. And then we can also just download this. Also, so this is interesting. So now instead of like downloading it directly, it's opening it in full screen. We can also tell it to download it. And now in the history, this is very nice. I like that a lot. Actually, that's why I love AI, because I kind of told it first to just display the output images, but then during kind of the prompting back and forth, it thought, you know, because we have the thinking mode also, and now it added so many more features and it has everything stored in a JSON file, and that is so much better because now we have the input image and we also have all the output images, and we still have the quality, the size, the cost, and the processing time. So this is actually very nice. Yeah, I like this a lot. This is very, very nice. And now the only thing, and as you guys can see, it is loading this live from the backend. The only thing we can kind of change is when we download something, we kind of want it to download automatically. So we can tell it to do that. When we download something with the download button, can you please save it directly with the browser instead of just opening the path? Also, can you add a download button to every history item of previous generations? So yeah, that should be very simple to achieve. So let's see, it should just change this front end here and also the results front end. And I think after that, we are pretty much finished with our project. So yeah, let's do that. It's updating the image gallery now. Perfect. This is really just a personal preference, how you'd like to do that. But again, this is how you know can tell it to do things differently. And I think this is amazing. So now it's changing the download button, and the history tab should update here in just a little bit, probably, once that is applied and fully saved. Yeah, in the history tab component, perfect. And yeah, and then we also have, yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. As you guys can also see now, this turns out to be different than I think it's adding the UI now. This turns out to be different than the previous dashboard, but it's also super nice. It has a super nice touch. Now we do have the download all, and I think once we do that, it should also have the individual ones, right? yeah, it's adding the individual ones. Right now we have the download all, and we also have the individual ones, which will probably pop up here in just a second. I wonder if it also adds it to the, oh yeah, it just did. Yeah, this is so good. I really like that. This is so good. So this did a phenomenal job. We can just download this now. Well, this is still the old download mechanic though. So we kind of want to save it directly. In the history tab, we also want the download button to directly save the file locally, not just open the path in the full screen. So let's tell it to do this here. Also, I think, okay, this is just doing that. Okay. Yeah, so pop-up blocked. It wants to open everything. We actually want to like download the images though. So let's see. Let's see what it does. We actually just want to download it locally as like a local file, you know. That's kind of what we want to do, but the UI is pretty cool. I like that a lot. It's doing a very good job. And yeah, let's see what it does there. And then also we can, I think at the same time probably, starting to download all of them, okay. Improve download method. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it needs to kind of create a link of that. Is it working just yet? Kind of, it's throwing an issue. Well, I think we should finish it to fully update everything, probably. And while it's doing that, we can have a different run, I think. So let's just, I don't know, maybe let's use this image here, and then let's do the Family Guy, Minecraft, and Castlevania style maybe on medium. And it is kind of a portrait, but we will just do square, cause why not? Now, let's see, can we switch between them? Yeah, that's also super cool because of the state saving. So we can view at the history, then still go back, and it's still updating everything. It's kind of updating the UI in the background because it's saving the states and kind of preserving the states, which is very cool. And yeah, let's look at that. Let's see what this turns out to be and if the download is working as intended now. Otherwise, I need to explicitly tell it again to please download it as like an actual file locally. And this is kind of the pop-up. We should allow that, but still it's not a pop-up. It should just download, you know. So now it's working, it's downloading this, perfect. This is exactly like we want to have it. And as you guys can see, we do have the Family Guy style here. We do have the Minecraft style, which looks pretty cool actually. And we do have the Castlevania style with this kind of badass vibe. And in the history, we do have everything now. We do have our first initial generation and also the previous one. And now this is still not working. So we can tell to do this one final fix. So the results page is working now to download them locally as file, but the history tab is still throwing an error. Please apply the same logic to have all download buttons download them locally. Now, for better understanding what the issue is, we will also give it this again like that, and now just send it. And I hope this will be the final fix. You can also kind of lock your entire backend here, which is super nice. Well, and also your front end, of course. So yeah, let's do that. And let's fix the final call here. And I think then our dashboard is pretty much finished. Of course, there are still many things you can still improve and cannot change, but I think this is doing a pretty good job. And also this is already a pretty long video. So yeah, but this is really how we can build everything at once. So hopefully it did work this time. Let's see. So we go to the results. The results. Well, now change the results. Hold on. Let me reload this. Now it changed. Okay, that's not what we want. It changed it back again. Yeah, so this is kind of not what we want. So now you changed it back. We want all downloads to download it into our well, Explorer pretty much. So the local file system, like a normal browser download, not open it full size. Please change that for all download buttons. So that's what happens sometimes actually. It kind of goes back. Now it was kind of confused. And we want to save it to our local file system. So sometimes it's really just about the prompting. So now it needs to actually download them locally. So let's see if this works, and if that works on the history tab, then we should be good to go, and it should be fully working, and then we can kind of finish the dashboard. So let's see. It's still throwing an error. I think if we reload, wait, let me save, but it should still work. I think it's still not working. No, it's still throwing an issue. So what is the issue? The call stack failed to fetch. So we are still getting the failed to fetch. Let's see. Getting the failed to fetch. Please look through the code again and make sure the local download works as intended. So now we kind of tell it to look at the full code again and fix everything. And yeah, let's see what this comes up with. Now, sometimes at this like vibe debugging at a later stage, you'd probably be quicker if you just fix it manually. But yeah, now let's see. It's adding an additional debugger, and now it needs to fix the little error here. And let's see. So the interesting thing is it did work before on the results. So we should have saved that. We could go back in history, but it should also just work here. Also, what you can do sometimes, if something doesn't really work out, you can change the model, or you can explicitly like put it into a strong reasoning model like O3 with the code attached and tell it to just fix it, and that normally works also. But yeah, let's see. So it's adding a special button. Yeah, we really just want the download function to work. That's really all I want to do here, and then we are pretty much done. So now it's just kind of the fixing issues. Anyways, I will attach timestamps to the video though, so you can also just kind of skip through and look at the final result with the proper code and all of that, right? So yeah, we just kind of do it like that. Okay, so both types of URLs properly. Well, I think the fetching was kind of the problem. Let's see if it did that now. Otherwise, I'm going to change the model. So let's see. It's still throwing the error, so it can fetch these, okay, but it cannot fetch these. So do we have them locally? Let's see. So let's see. So it did fetch and download our latest generation, but the previous one does not work. It's the file structure still tag or something. JSON maybe. So now that's pretty interesting. Let me go to the output, because I believe what may have happened. We are just logging on the JSON. Okay. The problem might be that this is corrupt actually. So it's checking that now. And I think that is probably the issue. It might just be a different file name or path here. That's probably all. So let's see, it's kind of comparing everything now, and then hopefully it's going to find something that's off. And yeah, let's see what the issue is. Yeah, found the issue, the file structure is intact. The problem is with how the browser handles downloads for these files. The files exist. The download issue, the problem is with the CORS. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure why it's only with one generation though. I'm not sure if that is actually the issue, but we will just trust Claude. Maybe it is. I hope it didn't just revert everything we just did though. This is the downloading, perfect. This is also, so it kind of fixed the issue now, perfect. It was actually the cross issue. Okay, very interesting. Now everything is working. We can download everything. Okay, where's the download? Yeah, we can download everything. That is perfect. Yeah, that worked. Thank you. Well, you don't have to say that, but I'm just gonna do it. So now we have the fully functional dashboard. We can download everything. We can queue new tasks here, and yeah, we can really just use this app now. I mean, let's give it a final test to make sure everything is actually working. So let's, I don't know, let's give it this maybe. Now we will make a Pixar style Minecraft anime, and we'll also do square on medium quality again. And now let's do that, and well, hopefully the download logic is working here as well. Otherwise we can just tell it to apply the same one. I think everything should be working now though. So if this final test goes through, we know for a fact that everything is actually working. So yeah, let's do that. And just wait a second for this to finish. and then everything should be perfect. Okay. So it's still generating, perfect. We can also kind of just, well, let me just zoom in here a little bit more so you guys can see everything super nicely, because I know on the kind of quad HD it's pretty hard to see. And it is working perfectly. We do have everything, all the downloads are working. We can look at this full size. Now I should kind of zoom out again. We can look at this, we can look at this, that is perfect. We can start new tasks here. We do have our results here, and we do have our full history here with these, and these. We do have the full information, the total cost, the processing time, the styles we use, the quality, the size. So this is actually perfect, also the timestamp. I'm very happy about that. We can, yeah, it also added this, we can do this now. So I think it did a phenomenal job here. Everything is looking very nicely. We do have super nice styles, and yeah, it really hit it hard. So I think that is doing very nice, very nice. So yeah, guys, this is the full tutorial how we built this AI image transformer. Now we built everything at once. Actually, we do need to still do one thing. So please add to the front end title AI image transformer. Well, please add the following by OpenAI dev to the front end title AI image transformer. So this is our final test here that it needs to add. It needs to update our title here, and then we should be good to go. So if you give it like those brand new kind of prompts, it's going to search the entire code base, and then it's changing or searching the file for that actual line of code, and then it's changing that, you know. So it's searching the file, it's reading the layout now, and then it'll change the layout, and it'll update this text here, right? So yeah, it should update the text here. Well, I believe it updated the tab title now. Yeah, it updated the title now, so it also needs to update the page. Let's see if it does. It did, perfect. So it updated both the title and the text, which is perfect. So that's very good. This is the final code base now. And yeah, guys, this is pretty much, let me go into full mode here, how we built this amazing dashboard, how we have the full cost estimate, so you do know how much it's actually going to cost. This is a fully functional Next.js front-end application powered by our FastAPI Python backend. We built this in this tutorial from zero to scratch. I'll kind of walk over everything now and show you guys again which tools we used. But I can already tell you guys, if you enjoyed this, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to me at WolfAI Dev here on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter and a couple other social media. So yeah, feel free to check that out. Feel free to comment what you think about this, what you think. You know, if we could like kind of extend on this, we could also make a kind of like little tutorial series out of this. So if you want to comment some changes, we could actually keep building this together like in real time in future videos, make a playlist. And yeah, this is how we build this full application here, and I think it turned out very nicely. It's also very powerful. It's a very cool app. We could actually kind of, you know, start marketing this probably because it is very nice. And yeah, now we will go through every single AI again to give a final overview, and then we'll be done with this video. So again, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, let's go over everything once and for all now. So let's go back here from the full screen mode and kind of go over everything. So we started by using V0 here, and we gave it our front end prompt here, which I'll put in the full community section, guys. So I will have a full post here with all the resources, with everything in here, so you guys can just check that out, and you'll find everything here. You will find all the links here, everything, and then you have all the prompts, and you can just copy everything or rebuild it yourself, whatever you prefer. Okay, so we started by doing this. It generated our full code here. It basically generated the full front end here, and then we did a few changes in Cursor. Now, we didn't even need to use ChatGPT here actually, so we went straight into Cursor and, you know, started talking to the agent, started using the prompts from our Google Docs to have it build the backend fully in Python, and then also to tell us every single step. So it literally told us, hey, you need to do the pnpm install, you need to set up the venv, you need to set up the pip installs and all of that. So really it tells you every single step. And then, yeah, we just kind of prompted everything. We made it functional. In between, we kind of asked it, hey, is this working yet? Do we need to change things? Is the front end functional yet? Or do we need to kind of change it? It told us everything. And that's kind of how we went back and forth on a few iterations. You know, we had a few bugs with the base64 decoding, but everything turned out to be super nice. And yeah, I'm very happy with the result actually. So if you guys would like to, we can actually keep building this in future videos. I'll make a playlist out of this, and I'll keep updating the code completely for free. Everything we do here is fully for free. It's fully open source, so you can find everything for free. For that, guys, feel free to join the Skool community. I link that in the description. It's fully free. I'll put everything in there, all the code, everything, all the prompts, so you can fully rebuild that. And in fact, we used only free tools, so you can really build this completely for free. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the inside here on our Wolf Automation community. And yeah, again, you know, this is what we built in this video. It was kind of a longer video, but also we literally built this with AI, and we built all of this without writing a single line of code. We had AI write everything for us here, and I think it turned out super nicely and did an amazing job. So I hope you guys enjoyed building this dashboard together. It was a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments, please, what you would like me to add here in future videos. And please don't forget to subscribe. It would mean so much to me because it really is the best form of support. It only takes a couple seconds to click the subscribe button, and also feel free to activate the bell to not miss any future videos, because I can tell you we'll be building more of that. So let me know what you guys would like to see. And also feel free to join the community. I see you guys inside with all the resources. And with that being said, guys, I'm Wolf. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.